We just studied the main sutram, the pivotal rule, which prescribes the karmadharya samasaha. Sutram we just studied is 2.157. Visheshanam visheshyena bahulam. But the adhikaraha of samanadhikaranena actually starts in the sutram which we are going to take up now, which is 2.149. So this is the first sutram in the Ashtadhyayi order, which prescribes the karmadharya compound. Sutram reads, Purvakalaika sarva jarat Purana Nava Kevalaha Samanadhikaranena. The Vritti says Purvakaladi Prakritikani Subantani Samanadhikaranena Subantena Saha Vasamasyante Sacha Tatpurushaha. Now recall that the anuvritti of Sup is coming down from 212. Subhamantrite Parangavatsware. And anuvritti of Sahasupa is coming down from 214. That is why the vritti says Purvakaladi Prakritikani Subantani. So Subantam, which is formed from Purvakala, etc., compounds with another Subantam. Subantena Saha. Let us also recall the adhikara of Vibhasha, which runs from 2.111 down to 2.229. That is why the vritti says Vasamasyante. And of course we know the adhikara of Tatpurushaha, which goes from 2.122 down to 2.222. So you see, once we know the adhikara that we are in, it makes it so easy to understand the vritti. And the main thing in this sutram is samanadhikaranena, which means that both subantapade should refer to the same item. They should have the same locus, the same substratum, the same reference point. So the meaning of this entire sutram is a subantam padam which either denotes an action which naturally precedes in time, that's the Purvakala, or is composed by adding a suffix to Eka or Sarva or Jarat or Purana or Nava or Kevala, optionally compounds with another Subantam Padam, provided both the Subantapade refer to the same item and the resulting compound is Tatpurushaha. First note here says that Samanadhikaranena iti apada parisamaptehe adhikaraha, which means the adhikara of samanadhikaranena runs from this sutram 2.149 down to the end of this first quarter of the second chapter of the Ashtadhyayi. Please make a note of this adhikaraha. So whenever you want to find a sutram which prescribes a karmadharya samasaha, this is the adhikara you have to come to. Samanadhikaranena, which runs from 2.149 down to the end of this quarter, which is down to 2.172. Next note here says Purvakalaha iti artha nirdeshaha parishishtanam swarupa grahanam, which means that the meaning and not the form of the term Purvakala is to be taken, while the form and not the meaning of the remaining terms Eka, Sarva, Jarat, Purana, Nava and Kevala is to be taken. So we have to take the meaning of Purvakalaha, which means a Subantam Padam which denotes an action which naturally precedes in time, while the remaining terms are to be taken in their exact form. Eka, Sarva, Jarat, Purana, Nava and Kevala. These exact terms are to be taken. What is called as Swarupa Grahanam. So it doesn't mean any word in the meaning of Eka, Sarva, Jarat, Purana, Nava, Kevala. It means just these specific words. Now the question comes, why do we need this sutram? Could we not just use 2.157 Visheshanam Visheshyena Bahulam? That could take care of these compounds. So why has Panini composed this sutra? The next note answers that question. It says, Visheshanam Visheshyena Bahulam iti siddhe Purva Nipata Niyamartham Sutram, which means that the compounds prescribed by this sutram 2.149 could also be constructed using the sutram 2.157 Visheshanam Visheshyena Bahulam, which we have just studied. The sutram 2.149 is composed for the purpose of placing the terms Purvakalaika Sarvajarat Purana Navakevalaha in the prior position in the compound. So it is for Purva Nipata Niyamartham. And further, Eka Shabdasya Diksankhya Sanyayam iti Niyama Badhanarthancha, which means that in the case of Eka, the Sutram 2149 serves the additional purpose of negating, of overcoming the restriction imposed by the Sutram 2150 Diksankhya Sanyayam. We will soon be studying that Sutram 2150 Diksankhya Sanyayam. Very briefly, what that Sutram says is, in a Tatpurushaha compound, a Subantam Padam denoting either a direction of the compass or a numeral combines with another Subantam Padam referring to the same item only if the resulting compound denotes a proper name. Now, Ekaha is a Sankhyavachaka Shabdaha. So that would be subject to this restriction imposed by 2150. Eka would be allowed to compound with a Subantam Padam which has Samanadhikaranam only if the resulting compound denotes a proper name. But we don't want a restriction to be put on Eka. That's why Panini has put Eka in this Sutram 2149. So we can form compounds like Ekaschasau Nathaha, Ekanathaha, the one and only master. This is not a Sanya. It's not a proper name. But we can still form the compound because 2149 overcomes the restriction Sanyayam, which would have been placed by 2150. Okay, let's take some examples here. First one is Purvam Snataha Paschadanu Liptaha, which means someone who first bathed and then anointed. The action of bathing naturally precedes the action of anointing. The Alaukika Vigraha is Snata Su plus Anulipta Su, compounding authorized by this Sutram 2149 because we do have the Subantam Padam Snata Su, which represents the Purvakala Kriya, compounding with Anulipta Su, which represents the Aparakala Kriya. It's obvious that the complement of a Purvakala Kriya is going to be a Aparakala Kriya. So 2149 authorizes the compounding because Panini specifically says Purvakala in the Sutram. Now as per 1243, Prathamanidrishtam Samasa Upasajanam, the term Snata Su gets resignation Upasajanam because in the Sutram 2149, which prescribes the compounding, the term Purva, Kala, etc. ends in the nominative case, and hence as per 2230 Pasajanam Purvam, the term Snata Su is placed in the prior position in the compound, and now Snata Su Anulipta Su gets designation Pratipadikam by the Sutram 1246 Krittadita Samasascha, because we have formed a Samasaha. This allows us to apply 2471 Supo Dhatu Pratipadikayoho to perform the look elision on the sup affixes Su and Su, which are inside the compound Pratipadikam. So we get Snata Anulipta, and then of course we use Akas Savarne Dirghaha, gets Snata Anulipta as the compound Pratipadikam. Now as per the Sutram 2426, Paravalingan Dvandva Purushayoho, the compound Pratipadikam Snata Anulipta is masculine since the latter member Anulipta of the compound is used in the masculine here. Of course, Anulipta can go in all three genders, but right now it's being used in the masculine. This compound declines like Rama Shabdaha. Second example here is Ekaschasau Nathaha, Ekanathaha, one and only master. The note here says, due to the restriction imposed by the Sutram 2150 Diksankhya Sanyayam, we would be able to construct the compound Ekanathaha only if it were to be a proper name. But the specific mention of Eka in the Sutram 2149, Purvakalaika, etc. now allows us to construct a compound like Ekanathaha even when it is not a proper name. That's what we said in the note earlier, that Eka Shabdasya Diksankhya Sanyayam iti Niyama Badhanarthancha. Okay. The Alaukika Vigraha is Eka Su Natha Su, compounding authorized by the Sutram 2149, which specifically mentions Eka. Steps are very straightforward now. As per the Sutram 1243, Prathamanidrishtam Samasa upasarjanam. Ekasu gets the designation upasarjanam because in the Sutram 2149, which prescribes the compounding, the term purvakalaik etc. ends in the nominative case, and hence as per 2230 upasarjanam purvam, the term ekasu is placed in the prior position in the compound. Now ekasu nathasu gets the designation pradipadikam by 1 to 46 krit Dita samasascha. We have formed a samasaha. This allows us to apply 2471 supodhatu pratipadikayoho to perform the look elision on the supaffixes which are inside the pratipadikam, and we get the final form of the compound pratipadikam as ekanatha. As per the Sutram 2426 paravalingan dvanvatat purushayoho, the compound pratipadikam ekanatha is masculine, since the latter member natha of the compound is used in the masculine gender here. The compound declines like Rama Shabdaha. We can similarly construct the following compounds. Sarve chate yajnikaha equals sarva yajnikaha, all the performers of the sacrifice. Sutram 2149 specifically mentions sarva. Remember that this compounding could have been done by 2157 also, but then what would happen is that we would have two optional forms, because either sarva or yajnika could be considered to be an adjective to the other. Either one of these two terms could be considered a visheshanam and the other one the visheshyam. So if we use 2157 visheshanam visheshyena bahulam, and either one could be considered the visheshanam, then either one could take the prior position in the compound. But now when we use 2149, sarva has to be placed in the prior position in the compound. Thus we see that 2149 is a Purva Nipata Niyamartham Sutram. Similarly, Jarantascha te Nayyayikaha. Jarannayayikaha, the aged logicians. Pradipadikam Jarat means old. Next one is Puranascha te Mimamsakaha. Purana Mimamsakaha, the ancient investigators, researchers. Next one is Navaschate Pachakaha equals Navapachakaha, the new or modern teachers. And the next one is Kevalashchate Vayyakaranaha equals Kevala Vayyakaranaha, only, meaning exclusively grammarians. All these terms, Jarat, Purana, Nava and Kevala, are specifically mentioned in this Sutram 2149, and because the term Purvakalaika Sarva Jarat Purana Nava Kevalaha ends in the nominative case is Prathamantam. Therefore, all these terms Sarva, Jarat, Purana, Nava and Kevala, they each become the prior member of the compound. That is the purpose of this Sutram 2149.